No Caitlin Clark in the postseason. Now this year, the WNBA has broken its single-season attendance record, and that is massive for the league. But there's no denying the fact ratings interest in the WNBA are significantly higher when Caitlin Clark is playing. Boost these ratings up a little bit. There was one matchup that this league can consistently rely on to produce massive viewership numbers. I have been telling you guys for weeks, interest is rapidly declining in the WNBA dump. Throughout the season, WNBA ratings have been hard to find. 2 minutes ago, Caitlin Clark's absence has shaken the WNBA to its core. Attendance records may be broken, but ratings are crashing fast and fans are tuning out. What's really happening without the league's biggest star? No Caitlin Clark in the postseason. Now this year, the WNBA has broken its single-season attendance record, and that is massive for the league. But this postseason will be missing the league's #1 star. Caitlin Clark, the face of the league, is out for the remainder of the season, and of course including the playoffs as well. Despite her absence, the Indiana Fever have still managed to clinch a playoff spot. But the postseason is now missing its biggest star that you may have missed this past week in the WNBA. Starting off with Caitlin Clark, the face of the league. She is out for the remainder of the season, and of course including the playoffs as well. Plus a plethora of injuries throughout the team. Mary McDonald, Sydney Colson, Sophie Cunningham, all out for the rest of the season as well. What you going to do without Caitlin? With them ratings getting low, people really need to know. The WNBA has been begging for attention for decades, but only when Caitlin Clark arrived did the league finally see real viewership and relevance. What you going to do without the great white hoe with them ratings getting low? Kat, I really need to know. And how you going to act? How you going to handle that? What you going to do when Caitlin don't come back? I have been telling you guys for weeks, interest is rapidly declining in the WNBA. Throughout the season, ratings have been hard to find unless they were good. But the numbers prove it now. Without Caitlin Clark, the ratings are absolutely embarrassing. Throughout the season, WNBA ratings have been hard to find, unless of course the ratings were good. But last week, CBS released ratings for a pretend basketball game between the New York Lesbians and the Atlanta Dreamers. Probably released them by accident. And the ratings were exactly what Uncle Casey expected. The ratings are what I believe the WNBA has been seeing all season. There was one matchup this league could consistently rely on for massive viewership. Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese on the court. But when both stars were absent, the league was left exposed, showing how fragile its ratings are without them. Can you just dangle a Caitlin Clark return in front of the fans' faces? Try to boost these ratings up a little bit. There was one matchup that this league can consistently rely on to produce massive viewership numbers. One matchup. The Chicago Sky vs. the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, the league's two most noticeable names on the court at the same time. In fact, they relied so heavily on this matchup, they put these two teams against each other 5 times this season. Late July, the WNBA proudly flaunted ratings for the All-Star game, but they failed to mention that viewership was down 36% compared to when Caitlin Clark played the year before. Without her, the league's numbers have dropped, and the silence from the media proves it. Late July, the WNBA proudly flaunted ratings for the All-Star game, which drew 2 million viewers. Of course, they conveniently failed to mention that ratings were down 36% from the record ratings that Caitlin Clark pulled the year before. Early August, ESPN pointed out that the Seattle Spankers and the Indiana Felines without Caitlin Clark drew 6 million on ABC. ESPN claimed that WNBA ratings were up 20% over last year, mostly without Caitlin Clark playing. It is no mystery that Caitlin Clark has attracted so much attention to the league attendance, ratings, and television money invested in the sport. Whether it's ticket sales or merchandise, her presence has changed everything. But now with no Caitlin Clark in the postseason, the league will be missing its #1 star. But I do want to discuss kind of the other side of this, and that is, look, it is no, mystery, and it is, well known to all of us that Caitlin Clark has attracted so much attention to the league. Attendance, eyes ratings in the television, money that's being invested into the sport, whether that's ticket sales or whether that's merchandise sales. She just came out with her own line at Nike, No Caitlin Clark in the postseason now. This year, the WNBA has broken its single-season attendance record, and that is massive for the league. There's no denying the fact ratings and interest in the WNBA are significantly higher when Caitlin Clark is playing. From the league's perspective, you just came off a regular season-setting attendance records. But now, after the All-Star break, interest has rapidly declined without her. Interest in the WNBA is declining. I do this every day. I am looking for 3 topics every day. Now, for reasons unknown to me, WNBA topics are some of my most popular videos on the main channel, but the topics, they're rarely about the unwatchable product on the court. What drove mainstream interest in the WNBA was the drama. This season, they didn't have it. Even when Caitlin Clark was playing, the storylines about mythical racism and mythical white privilege, they just weren't as prevalent. This past Saturday was the lowest rating these two teams have had since Caitlin Clark entered the league. The first matchup drew massive numbers, but every game since has gone down. Without her on the court, fan excitement and ratings have collapsed. This past Saturday was the lowest rating these two teams have had since Caitlin Clark has entered the league. The first time these two teams matched up this year, massive number. And then every time since that number has gone down, down, down. So that asks the question, without Caitlin Clark, where does your interest level lie with this Indiana Fever team? Out of sight, out of mind. Without Caitlin Clark, fans are not watching the Fever, and they really don't care about other teams either. Interest levels across the WNBA have fallen sharply with her absence. Without Caitlin Clark, where does your excitement level lie with this Indiana Fever team? And with Caitlin Clark being absent from basketball activities since Caitlin Clark is out from injury, has that impacted your excitement level with the rest of the teams in the WNBA? Out of sight, out of mind. You're not watching the Fever. You really don't care about the other teams either right now. You're watching the Fever? Yeah, I'll check out that team. But no, Caitlin Clark, you're not too interested. If you're just the casual fan and tuned in originally for Caitlin Clark, you might now be staying for other storylines. The Valkyries, AJ Wilson, the Aces, or Atlanta's record wins. Even without Clark, the league is still reaching viewership and attendance numbers. That shows the WNBA has grown even if Clark remains its biggest draw. I think we'll see a record playoff season. I think there are too many storylines in which even if you're just the casual fan and you tuned in originally for Caitlin Clark, you're staying for these other storylines. You're staying for the Valkyries. You're staying for Asia Wilson. You're staying for the Aces run. You're staying for Atlanta winning a franchise record number of wins. Like, to me, at this point in the season, you win a whole season where Caitlin Clark hasn't played more than, 15 games maybe, and we're still reaching viewership numbers, right? We're still obviously hitting attendance numbers. Late July, the WNBA proudly flaunted ratings for the All-Star game, but they failed to mention that viewership was down 36% compared to when Caitlin Clark played the year before. Without her, the league's numbers have dropped, and the silence from the media proves it. They conveniently failed to mention that ratings were down 36% from the record ratings that Caitlin Clark pulled the year before. Early August, ESPN pointed out that the Seattle Spankers and the Indiana Felines without Caitlin Clark drew 1.6 million on ABC. ESPN claimed that WNBA ratings were up 20% over last year, mostly without Caitlin Clark playing. It's ironic that the player the league ostracized and attacked is the one they now desperately need. Last year, they claimed the WNBA was about more than one player. But now that ratings are falling, they admit Caitlin Clark is the face of the league. Without her, the excitement simply isn't the same. I think the group that wants to see Caitlin Clark return the most, WNBA players themselves. Hell, they probably want the Indiana Felines to make a deep run in the playoffs. I just think it's ironic that the player they ostracized, the player that they constantly attacked both on and off the court, the player they tried to diminish by claiming that the WNBA was about more than one player. They spent the entire season last season on Caitlin Clark. And now, when they need her the most, when they are suddenly willing to accept her, Caitlin Clark is nowhere to be found. The WNBA isn't even getting 200,000 viewers on NBA TV without the Caitlin Clark stimulus package. When she plays, numbers soar, but her absence leaves a vacuum the league has failed to fill. That is the challenge for growth moving forward. Now, if the growth is as substantial as the ladies in the Players Association want you to believe, if the growth is as big as the ladies in the WNBA Players Association want you to believe, as the old guard wants you to believe these 180s, these 160s would be at least 300,000. At least 300,000 on NBA TV, right? At the minimum 250. But really at least 300,000. They're not even getting 200K without the CC stimulus pack. You're not getting at least 200K. Owners are seeing what's happening with the ratings, and they're realizing the bubble may be bursting. Caitlin Clark being out for over a month has been the catalyst, exposing the league's heavy dependence on one player. It's a problem that could have been avoided by better protection of its star. If and when Caitlin Clark returns, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to allow her to come back and get mauled? Are you going to allow her to come back and continue to get fouled? Because if we see what's going on here with the ratings, the owners have to see. And the owners are thinking themselves the bubble might be bursting. This bubble might be bursting. And Kane Clark being out for over a month is the catalyst to the burr, something that could have been prevented by simply holding people accountable. Not having your superstar player who brings in those fringe fans is going to impact those numbers. Without Caitlin Clark, it's clear the hype has slowed down. The postseason just doesn't feel the same without her. Without Caitlin Clark, the ratings are absolutely embarrassing, and the league can't hide it anymore. Every game since she sat out has gone down. The excitement collapsed without Caitlin Clark on the court. No Caitlin Clark in the postseason. Now this year, the WNBA has broken its single-season attendance record, and that is massive for the league, but this postseason will be missing the league's #1 star. Last year, Caitlin Clark averaged 530,000 viewers on NBA TV. Without Caitlin Clark, where does your excitement level lie with this Indiana Fever team? And with Kane Clark being absent from basketball activities since Kane Clark is out from injury, has that impacted your excitement level with the rest of the teams in the WNBA? Caitlin Clark is not healthy? Hell, she hadn't been healthy all season. There is absolutely no reason for Caitlin Clark to return. The drop-off in viewership without Clark shows the league still depends too much on her star power. If you think the WNBA needs Caitlin Clark more than ever, then hit that like, smash the subscribe, and don't forget to share this video so more fans know the truth.